Maybe you know something I'll never get
Wait.
is the fact that people will go out of their way to talk about their kids being an excuse as to why they can't have quality time together.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
we've seen that so many times, like people have came to us talking about either wait till you have kids and all that other stuff. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
how in the world do they make sense of blaming their kids on them not being able to spend the time together that they want? And again, even if I know having a little one is demanding, we got our own 15-year-old, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But being able to literally place blame on your kids that didn't ask to be here, like are here out of their own free will, like how in the world do you make sense of using them as an excuse to not spend time with the one person who you've committed to spending your life with? It'll never make sense to me.
Yeah, it's always confusing when we get those responses because I'm like, why is that even relevant? Like, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, like, you should still be trying to spend intentional time with the person that you're married, period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always like kind of like mind blowing when they say, oh, well, wait till you have kids, or, well, I have 4 kids, so we can't do that. And I'm like, well, so what are you going to do? Are you going to wait till your kids, your 4 kids, or however many kids you have are grown? And then you're going to decide that you're going to spend time with the person that you married?
Yeah.
Because at that point, it might be too late.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like you need to be spending time with the person that you decided to commit your whole life to,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to you taking care of your kids. Like, it shouldn't be a
Either
or situation. It's both.
You've been waiting to get that one in.
It was perfect. But yeah, it's not an either or. Like, you should be spending time with your significant other, your wife, husband, whatever, and also your kids too. So yeah, I would never understand that. And like something we've said before is like, it's important for a baby girl to see us operate as husband and wife. Like, we're not just mom and dad. Like, don't put us in that box. Like, see us move in the world as husband and wife, you know?
What I think is so interesting about that is sometimes people forget that in the grooming of your child, it is important for them to see that you two prioritize each other and to see the teamwork between the two of you and to be able to see y'all operate in a way that shows that you love and that you care about each other and what you have and that you aren't just coexisting. And I think that sometimes a lot of parents can be so caught up on believing that in order to be considered a good parent, that you need to sacrifice everything on the altar of your kids and making sure they got everything or making sure that, you know, they don't want for anything or anything they want to participate in or whatever the case may be. All of that stuff is prioritized, but they also don't take into account that it does so much good for them also to see you and to see their parents working together, caring for one another, being able to show up for each other in situations that might be tough to deal with, seeing them sometimes have to make compromises and sacrifices and talking to their kids through it about how they came to those decisions, seeing that partnership between the parents. And I don't think that a lot of people ever really take into consideration like how much of an impact things like that have on their children, also because they just want to be able to give their children the world without also giving them these other parts of the world that are also important that they need to be able to see as well, like coming from their own households.
Yeah.
And I don't think that a lot of people look at that as being as important as it really is.
I think it's dope for our children to see us in multiple roles. Like, baby girl sees me as mom. She sees me as a business owner. She's seen me as a soldier. Like, she's seen me in so many different roles, and she's seen you in so many different roles too. And I think it's important for your children to know that you're not just a parent. Like, you're living your own human life as well. And I think a lot of kids don't get to see the human side of their parents. Like, does that make sense? Like, it's just always like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I don't get to be like human.
Yeah.
And then now your kids looking at you with these crazy, unrealistic expectations of their parents now, because that's all they've seen that's all they've seen you operate as.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense coming out of my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's showing them the real.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's showing them that even when you become an adult, you're still dealing with real life.
Yeah.
And you're still growing as a person. Like I know there's been plenty of times, where we've had to have some real lessons, when it came to baby girl, be it the stuff that we were dealing with or things that we were working through, whatever the case may be, because we're so important. We're so intentional about keeping each other included in everything. And like you said, it's important for them to be able to see all of that stuff. Like seeing you as more than just mom, or seeing me as more than just dad, or whatever the case. And I think what really gets people sometimes, though, is, again, this desire to just put on this persona of caring for them in ways that they think are important, while putting the other ones on the back burner. Because if you're putting your marriage on the back burner of you being a good parent, then there's a lot that's being missing there. And there's a lot of important lessons that your little ones ain't seeing. There's a lot of things that they may not learn to understand that will have a significant role and impact on their lives. And I think that a lot of people should really consider, especially these days, taking a different perspective on what it means to be like an intentional parent. And what we choose to prioritize when it comes to being there for our little ones and teaching them the lessons that they actually need. And yeah, man, because I just can't make sense to that. You using your kids as an excuse, though.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. I think like it's like, just to add a bit more context, is like, show them enough to where they see that you're human, but they're not exposed to too much.
Yeah.
So you obviously need to know where to draw the line as far as them seeing, as how your parents, like how the parents operate and whatnot. So you don't want to give too much, but it is important for them to see that you're human too. Because I used to think, I told you before, like I used to think like parents know all. Like I was really naive. Like I thought like they knew everything they were doing. Like they had their life figured out. And it wasn't until I got older, I'm like, dang, like my parents was really trying to figure that stuff out too. You know what I'm saying? So when I became an adult, I had this unrealistic expectation of who I was supposed to be. Like I was supposed to know all of this stuff and have everything figured out, and I was supposed to be able to operate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going to go with that. But like that shit just went woof. But again, yeah, so my point is, I guess like it's important for them to see you try to figure things out too. In your life too. Like we've talked to baby girl through things that we've been through that have like impacted her and how we've shown up for her and things like that. So
even when it comes down to something as simple as like when you see parents who will put their dreams and their goals and different things like that on the back burner because they're trying to be good parents and stuff. But then at the same time, you'll fix your face to say, oh, you can do anything or be anything and, go out here and accomplish all of this stuff or whatever the case may be. And I get some parents making sacrifices and things of that nature as well. But man, you also need to be willing to go after the stuff that's important to you too. Like they need to be able to see that and see you being human in those moments as well. And like who better else to be able to paint that picture of a good role model than seeing you actually go after the stuff that's important to you rather than I'm going to just sacrifice my whole life over here because this other thing may be more important or whatever the case may be. And I do understand that it's not that cut and dry for everybody, but especially depending on whatever level you at.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are situations, where parents shoot, like if life is down bad hard, all you may have time to do is to just provide or whatever the case may be, like in that particular type of season. So I don't disregard none of that.
Of course.
But it's also important that in all of that, you do everything that you can to make sure that that's not something that you allow to be considered the norm. And that you do have those, at least have discussions.
Yeah.
And talk about the importance of why the parents need to spend time together, or the importance of them going after certain goals or different things like that, or the change of priorities inside the household and different things like that as they get older.
Right.
Because like you said, when things go left unsaid, it can create a distorted idea of what it means to be an adult, or can create this subconscious pressure on them as far as them thinking that they're supposed to have all of this stuff figured out.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, man, you have to be bold enough to be able to navigate those tough situations which the little ones involve.
Yeah.
Of course, not having to give them everything, but enough to be able to show and teach them the lessons and things like that, to start to shape their mind around the humanness of life in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And those important lessons to me.
Yeah. And a lot of lessons are learned through them watching you too. So it's like, it's one thing to like talk about certain things, but they also see what you're doing too. So are you going after the things you say, you know, you want in life? Are you prioritizing your marriage because you say you love your spouse? How do you show your kids that you love your spouse? You know what I'm saying? Or do you only show your love to your children? Yeah. So do your children think that they up here? You know what I'm saying? Like in regards to like, you know, how the marriage is placed on priority. So it's like, it can paint a distorted view of like how a household should operate.
Yeah, I mean, and should is always a tough word. Yeah. But it's also interesting to me because like I've seen and I've talked to so many guys over the years, you know, who talk about like how, or at least the ones who did have present fathers, or their dad was around. Let's call it like that. To say, you know, he was always working and hard working and stuff like that, but you never really hear about how they connected with their moms and stuff like that. Like you'll hear about, you know, oh, he was a man's man, or, you know, he held it down, or whatever the case may be. And even in the guys, I'll see them struggle with relationships, or they always prioritize providing and thinking that things like that are enough, or they'll have this idea that, you know, that just because I do this stuff, you should respect me. And they'll think that maybe in their minds that their mom did that to their dads, but that's just a story that they told themselves because there was so much that they didn't know about. Right. And so it's like, all right, well, my dad was like this. I never saw him do nothing but grind and hustle and take care of stuff or whatever. And even if the relationship was great between, you know, the parents or whatever the case may be, but you didn't see all of that work that was happening like behind closed doors. You just saw them working or whatever the case.
Yeah, on whatever their separate roles was as far as the household.
Yeah, you saw them operating in those particular roles, but not them collaborating or coming together or expressing affection or whatever the case may be. And yeah, man, like I think that because so many have been exposed to things like that, even if it wasn't in your own household, that it really has had an impact on the way people can look at that parent-child type relationship. And they can put, you know, them handling business, so to say, over them spending that intentional time together to actually grow and become closer and all of these things inside of their own marriage. Because the crap is important, man.
The crap is important. Like, why you said it like that? The crap is important.
Trying not to, you know, be too extra, I guess you could say. But yeah, man, it is important though, because, man, listen, your kids is only going to be around for so long. Like
in your household.
Yeah, your kids is only going to be around actively in your household, but for so long. But your marriage is forever. And then if you sit over here,
it
should be forever. Yeah. You sign up for it to be forever.
Yeah, that's usually the intent. Yeah,
that's usually the intent. Yeah. But if you put that on the back burner and you think that you got 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 years, you know what I'm saying? That you could just put your marriage on the back burner and like, oh, we'll get to it eventually. Man, you know how much life can happen over that time period?
You know how much people can change?
How much people can change?
Oh my God. Like, you going to look up, your kid's going to be grown and good, and y'all looking at each other like, who are you?
Who are you outside of what you did for the house?
Right.
And it's like, you don't even know what brought you two together anymore.
Besides them kids.
Other than the kids.
Yeah, that was the only connection.
Exactly. Like you haven't created any depth in like you'll literally look like complete strangers. Like who are we outside of just being here for this other life? And people never consider that. Man, I talked to a homie the other day. Well, not the other day. It was actually some weeks ago.
That means the other day.
The other day. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, hey man, have you and your girl like thought about what life would be like for y'all after the little ones is gone? And these kids is high school. And I'm talking to my guy and he was like, truth be told, man, I ain't never even thought about it. I haven't even, like the thought hadn't even crossed their minds.
Really?
I'm like, bro, you got like 3 years and y'all ain't talked about what your marriage is going to look like after them kids are gone. And I'm like, and I know, military, doing the thing, you be working hard and all this other stuff or whatever. Yeah. But you haven't thought about the future of your relationship at all after those little ones is gone. It's just like, all right, well, we get up, go to work, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. Like,
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
I don't understand, like, not thinking about your relationship, period. Like, how are you, like, married to someone and you don't think about your marriage?
Yeah.
Like, you don't talk about it. You don't, like, I don't understand that, because it's like, what was the point of being married? Like, what was the vision for that? Was it just because, like, I love you and we should just be together? Like, I don't understand. If something is important to you, if your person is important to you, like, y'all should be talking about each other. Y'all should always be trying to get to know each other. So to me, like, I guess because, like, our relationship, like, I can't understand those conversations not being had. Because it's like, what was the point of getting married in the first place? Like, to me, it's like getting married is like, you are collaborating with life. You are facing life challenges together. Like, you're supposed to be making each other's life easier. So why aren't conversations being had? And when conversations are being had, what are y'all talking about?
Right.
Like, what do you only talk about? The bills and the kids and other people?
Yeah.
Is that all y'all talk about? Because if that's the case, something ain't right. Like, y'all gotta focus on each other. Like, are y'all so focused on other things to where you're distracting yourselves from talking to each other?
Yeah.
And actually facing whatever, like, maybe issues you need to grow through or whatever the growth moments are? Like, what? Like, I can't imagine. Like, my brain cannot process that for some reason.
Yeah, and trust me, I know, shoot, we done been in situations, to where we'll see couples and they don't know each other as much as you think they should. And we be sitting there looking at like, how do you not know that about your spouse? You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, y'all been together how long? Like, how do you not know this stuff? And you be thinking like, man, how in the world have y'all spent this much time together over all these years and haven't had what we would probably consider some of the simplest conversations?
Yeah.
And it's like, did it get to a point where it just became about the kids or work or whatever the case may be? Like what did you do with all of that other time?
I can't process that. And like, I understand, people got jobs and kids and you be tired and stuff. Like, I understand that. But I'm like, y'all can't spend like 15 minutes together a day to talk? Like, maybe sit down and have dinner. Like, even with the kids, like, I don't know. Like, put the kids to bed. Like, especially if they little ones, they shouldn't be up late anyway.
Man, baby,
like,
so I remember, when baby girl was younger and we were being more intentional about the time. Shoot, man, we started sending that baby to bed super early.
Yeah.
We was like, nah, bro, like from, what was it at the time? I think she had like an 8:30 bedtime or something like that.
Yes, absolutely.
And we would like, all right, we gonna be up until 10. And we'll spend, like, that was our us time.
Absolutely.
And then even as she's gotten older, like, there's still times where, if anything, we can go to bed earlier and put her to bed earlier, some crap like that, and just sit up together. Or whatever the case. Yeah. But there's always a way to be able to find some time. Like, it don't even matter if it is just a few minutes of sitting up in the bed together and talking about your day and how you're dealing, how you're feeling or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know that even there's that little bit of time, it really ain't no excuse.
Yeah, like maximize the little time you do have.
Yeah, you might not have an hour or two to go out on a date, or they might be too young where you can go for a walk or whatever.
Right.
Like, shoot, us, man, bro, we in freaking Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
bro? Your whole family is in Georgia.
Right.
Like, mine is in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been away from family the whole time we've been married. We have not had a village.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had anybody who can like consistently like watch baby girl and nothing like that. Like, thank God for your mom being around, when she's been able to, throughout these years or whatever. But man, we ain't never had no freaking village.
Right.
And so we had to figure something out,
Mm-hmm.
but we figured something out because our time together was important to us.
Right.
And we not finna sit over here and say like, hey, baby girl, you the reason why we don't get to spend time together.
Oh my God. Just imagine, like, from the comments that we get all the time, like, well, wait till you have kids. Imagine your kids knowing that you on the internet, blaming them for why you don't have time together, making them an excuse as for why your marriage is not working out the way that you would want it to. Like,
y'all ignore each other.
Imagine, like, oh my God, like that would probably break a child.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrible to even think about. I couldn't even imagine saying that to baby girl.
Yeah, like looking up one day and realizing that you two people haven't given each other time at all. And then 5, 10, 15 years has gone by.
Right.
And then you look at your kid and you like, you the reason why we never got to spend time together and why our relationship is trash or the marriage is trash. Like, but that's what you're doing when you say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're saying
your actions show that also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what it really shows a mug is lazy.
Mm.
That you're not even trying. And like, man, because there's always a way. Mm-hmm. Like, it is always a way.
Yeah, I think like what's dope about our marriage is like, it doesn't matter what the scenario was. We were always going to figure out how to make time for each other. Mm-hmm. There was never a time where, and plus, like, even with you being like gone a lot, like when we was in the military, you was gone a lot. Like, we were still trying to figure out how to make time for each other. Like, if it was on the phone, like, it didn't matter. It's like, our time together is important. Our marriage is important. So we're going to do whatever we have to do to make it work, period.
Yo, it was a time in our life where we were even getting up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
And we did that for what, like a year, 2 years?
Yes.
We was getting up between 3 and 4 o'clock every morning to be together until like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then we'll be so tired to where like we would like have to take a nap at some point during the day. But like that was the only time period where we had to like really dedicate to each other outside of baby girl. Mm-hmm. We were getting up 3-4 hours before she was even awake to be together.
Especially during COVID.
And did that for over a year.
Yeah.
But it wasn't no excuse.
Yeah.
Like, to do something like,
you make time for what you care about, man.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
And what's funny, like, we never even talked about that. Like, bro, we got up like 3 hours before she did for over a year.
Yeah.
To spend time together. Granted, we was working out and stuff like that too.
Still.
But that was like our like devoted time to be together. No matter what we would be up, we would talk. Mm-hmm. We were journaling at one point in time, meditating in the morning. Man, we were so creative with those 3 hours in the morning.
Because we actually want to have a thriving, productive marriage. We want to get to know each other.
And want no excuse.
We want to love each other. Like, we want this so badly that we're willing to do whatever to make sure it works between us. Mm-hmm. And that's even carving out time together. Waking up. If we got to wake up early, let's wake up early. We got to stay up later. Let's stay up later. We've done that too. Stayed up later in the evenings because we need that time together.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. People want people.
All we know, man, is that if you want an outcome bad enough, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
If you want an outcome bad enough, no excuse is good enough.
Yeah.
Like there isn't one. It's either you want it or you don't.
Yeah. And usually like life is pretty routine for like most people. It's like you can't like try to schedule certain things out. Like, okay, the kids go to school at this time, you go to work at this time. Like figure out a schedule until you can be more like intentional about that time. Like, okay, this is what our day looks like this day. Let's sit down together for this block of time. Just be more organized.
And
I don't know.
It takes what, this much effort?
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, if you really don't care, then just say that. Like, if y'all don't care to put in that type of effort to try, then just say that.
To just have, and I feel like to just have time with each other.
Yeah.
Like I don't see, like we keep saying like put in like effort and work, and I'm like, I don't even see how that's considered like effort or work to try to spend time with the person that you have committed your life to. Like even the verbiage is kind of like throwing me off because I'm like, I want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I like set aside time to do that and to be with you? So that's, again, like it blows my mind because I'm like, I don't understand not trying to carve out time for each other.
I'm going to say it for me, like there's no world that exists to where I don't get some time with my wife. It ain't no world that exists to where anything is going to be able to strip away my time from us being able to be together.
I know.
It just don't exist.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like I'll start giving up stuff before that happens.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, well, I ain't going to be able to do this. Shoot, even if the gym had to go, whatever it is, we're going to figure it out. Like something will have to get moved, shifted around. Some will have to go, but there's nowhere in the world I'm putting the most important relationship that I got here on this earth on the back burner for nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing. Ain't no way in the world.
Right.
And I will not let anything be an excuse as to why my wife don't get my time.
Right.
But it's because you find a way for things you actually care about. And if you actually care, you will do whatever is necessary and put in that above average effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make it happen.
Right.
Because that's what you do when you care. And so if you're comfortable using the excuse of the kids or the job or whatever the excuse is, just let that be a sign that somewhere you don't care enough. Because if you did, you'd figure it out.
Right. Right. It would be more looking for how you can make it work than having excuses as to why it won't.
And if your mind can't get you to think that way, you better ask somebody that done it. How did you do it? Like, you better ask somebody. But you don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Just admit that you don't care enough to try, if anything. But you don't have an excuse if it's actually important to you.
I agree, baby.
Straight like that. Hey, if you guys have gotten any real value out of this conversation, please do, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the episode, all of that good stuff. But until next time, family, my name is John Trone. This is my beautiful queen,
Adoria.
We are one dope couple. And until next time, family, peace and love.